The future does not belong to those who wait for the right moment. It belongs to those who take bold risks. Throughout history, every breakthrough, every revolution, and every game-changing innovation has been driven by individuals who refuse to play it safe. Playing it safe may provide comfort, but it rarely leads to greatness. Those who change the world understand that risk is not something to be feared, it is something to be embraced, calculated, and strategically leveraged. Bold decisions shape industries, redefine possibilities, and create opportunities where none existed before. Elon Musk is a prime example of this mindset. From the beginning of his career, he has never followed the conventional path. He did not settle for a high-paying job after selling his first company. Instead, he reinvested almost all of his fortune into ventures that many considered impossible. SpaceX was ridiculed, Tesla was doubted, and yet today, both companies stand as industry leaders. The reason? Musk was willing to take risks when others hesitated. He understood that failure was a part of the process, but he also recognized that playing it safe would never lead to extraordinary results. Taking bold risks does not mean acting recklessly. It means having the vision to see beyond the immediate obstacles and the courage to move forward despite uncertainty. When Musk started Tesla, the automotive industry was controlled by giants who had been in the business for decades. The idea of an electric car company competing with these well-established manufacturers seemed absurd. Experts predicted failure, investors were skeptical, and production challenges mounted. Yet Musk pushed forward, making unconventional decisions, betting on technology that others ignored, and proving that the future of transportation could be electric. The same pattern is visible in every industry where groundbreaking change has occurred. Jeff Bezos built Amazon with the belief that e-commerce would dominate retail, even when online shopping was still a niche market. Steve Jobs risked Apple's entire future by introducing products that defied market trends. Bill Gates saw the potential of software long before personal computers became mainstream. These individuals did not simply follow trends, they created them by taking risks when others hesitated. Risk-taking is not just about business. It applies to every aspect of life. Athletes who break records, artists who redefine creative expression, and scientists who challenge accepted theories all have one thing in common. They are willing to push beyond what is considered safe or possible. The world rewards those who are willing to step outside their comfort zones and challenge the status quo. Playing it safe may protect from failure, but it also guarantees mediocrity. Fear of failure is what holds most people back. The idea of losing money, facing criticism, or experiencing setbacks can be paralyzing. But those who achieve greatness do not see failure as an endpoint. Instead, they see it as part of the process. Musk's first 3 SpaceX rocket launches ended in disaster. Most people would have walked away, but he didn't. He risked everything on a 4th launch, which succeeded and secured NASA contracts that changed the trajectory of the company. His willingness to take bold risks is the reason private space travel is now a reality. Calculated risk-taking also requires resilience. It is not just about making daring moves, it is about staying committed when things do not go as planned. When Tesla was on the verge of collapse, Musk did not back down. He put his own money into the company, worked relentlessly, and found a way to keep it afloat. That level of commitment is what separates visionaries from dreamers. Anyone can have big ideas, but only those who are willing to risk everything for those ideas turn them into reality. Risk-taking is not random. The most successful individuals do not gamble blindly. They take risks based on deep research, strategic thinking, and an understanding of the market. They analyze probabilities, test their ideas, and move forward with confidence. This is why some people succeed while others fail. The ability to distinguish between a reckless gamble and a calculated risk is a defining trait of great leaders. The comfort zone is the enemy of progress. The moment a person, a company, or even an entire industry becomes too comfortable, innovation stops. Bold risks force individuals and organizations to evolve, to stay ahead of the curve, and to create opportunities rather than waiting for them. Those who understand this principle do not wait for permission to act. They take the initiative, move forward despite uncertainty, and trust their ability to navigate challenges along the way. Every major breakthrough in history has been the result of someone taking a risk. The Wright brothers risked failure and ridicule to make flight a reality. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb. Entrepreneurs, inventors, and leaders throughout time have pushed forward despite resistance, setbacks, and doubt. The one common factor among all of them is their willingness to take bold risks. Being in the right room at the right time is one of the most overlooked yet powerful strategies for success. Throughout history, those who have shaped industries, influenced policies, and driven global change have understood the importance of presence. It's not just about intelligence, talent, or even hard work. It's about being where the conversations that shape the future are taking place. Power is not just about what you know or what you do. It's also about who you are in the company of and what doors those relationships open for you. Elon Musk, a man known for his ambitious visions of space colonization, artificial intelligence, and sustainable energy, made a decision in 2017 that puzzled many. He stood among the most powerful business leaders at Donald Trump's inauguration, a setting that seemed to contrast sharply with his values and goals. Critics questioned his choice. Some viewed it as a contradiction, a compromise of his principles. But those who understand power saw it differently. They recognized it as a strategic move, an acknowledgement that influence is built not in isolation but through engagement with decision makers. Musk knew that if he wanted to push his vision forward, he had to be present where policy and power converged. Throughout his career, Musk has demonstrated an acute awareness of this principle. Whether securing government contracts for SpaceX, lobbying for electric vehicle incentives, or working on AI regulations, he has consistently placed himself in spaces where he could shape the discussion. He understands that in order to drive his agenda, he cannot afford to be an outsider looking in. By being in proximity to those in power, he ensures that his voice is heard, his ideas are considered, and his businesses are positioned for success in an environment that often dictates market conditions. This strategy is not unique to Musk. Many of the world's most successful individuals have leveraged their presence in power circles to advance their missions. Jeff Bezos, for instance, understood early on that Amazon's growth was not just about building an efficient e-commerce platform, but about having the right relationships in government to navigate regulations, avoid antitrust scrutiny, and secure lucrative contracts. Steve Jobs, despite his rebellious nature, knew when to align himself with industry leaders and policymakers to push Apple's innovations forward. Bill Gates, one of the most influential figures in technology, mastered this art by maintaining close ties with policymakers, ensuring that Microsoft's interests were always represented in key discussions. The ability to operate within these power structures is not about abandoning one's principles. It is about recognizing that true influence comes from participation, not isolation. Leaders who understand this do not allow personal disagreements or ideological differences to keep them from engaging with decision makers. They know that if they are absent, someone else will take their place, someone whose priorities may not align with their vision. History is filled with examples of individuals who either embraced this principle and thrived, or ignored it and faded into irrelevance. Nikola Tesla, a brilliant mind ahead of his time, refused to engage in the strategic positioning necessary to secure funding and support for his innovations. Meanwhile, Thomas Edison, who was not necessarily more talented than Tesla, understood the power of relationships and used them to dominate the industry. The difference was not in their intelligence or capability, but in their ability to navigate the corridors of power. Even in politics, this principle holds true. Leaders who wish to drive change must engage with those who hold influence, regardless of personal differences. They must be willing to have difficult conversations, to negotiate, to find common ground where possible, and to push their agendas forward in a way that ensures their presence is acknowledged. Those who refuse to do so often find themselves sidelined, watching from the outside as others dictate the course of history. In business, the same rule applies. Entrepreneurs who focus solely on their product or service without understanding the importance of strategic positioning often struggle to scale their ventures. The most successful founders recognize that growth is not just about innovation, but also about access. Access to funding, to regulatory support, and to influential networks that can open doors. This is why venture capitalists emphasize networking and why executives spend significant time cultivating relationships with policymakers, industry leaders, and influential figures. Musk's presence at Trump's inauguration was not about politics, it was about positioning. He knew that if he wanted to have a say in the policies affecting his companies, whether in space exploration, artificial intelligence, or renewable energy, he needed to be in the room where those policies were being discussed. He understood that disengagement would not protect his interests, nor would it allow him to steer the conversation in a direction that aligned with his vision. And that instead of letting others decide the future of industries he was pioneering, he chose to be part of the process. This principle is not just for billionaires and world leaders. It applies to anyone seeking to make an impact in their field. Whether you are an entrepreneur, an artist, a scientist, or a professional climbing the corporate ladder, your ability to place yourself in the right circles will determine the opportunities available to you. Success is not just about what you bring to the table, it's also about which table you choose to sit at. Success is not just about having strong beliefs, it is about knowing when to adapt. The world is not black and white, and those who understand this navigate challenges more effectively than those who remain rigid in their thinking. Adaptability is what separates leaders from followers, visionaries from those who are left behind. Many people assume that standing firm on principles is the key to success, but in reality, the ability to adjust strategies, work with opposition, and find common ground often leads to greater impact. Elon Musk has built his career on innovation, challenging industries and pushing forward ideas that others deemed impossible. Yet, despite his disruptive nature, he has consistently shown the ability to adapt to the realities of business, government, and power structures. His presence at Donald Trump's inauguration was not about abandoning his values, but about recognizing that real change requires engagement. He understood that policies affecting Tesla, SpaceX, and his other ventures would be shaped by the administration in power. By positioning himself in the right conversations, he ensured that his companies were not only protected, but also given opportunities to thrive. Adaptability is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of intelligence. Throughout history, the most successful leaders have been those who knew how to adjust their approach without losing sight of their ultimate goals. Jeff Bezos built Amazon by constantly evolving the company's strategy. What started as an online bookstore became the largest e-commerce platform, then expanded into cloud computing, logistics, and artificial intelligence. Had he remained fixed in his original vision, Amazon would never have reached the scale it has today. The willingness to pivot, rethink, and adjust based on changing circumstances is what allows businesses and individuals to survive and grow. This principle applies to every industry. Steve Jobs was known for his strong opinions, but even he understood the need to adapt when necessary. Apple's success was not just the result of bold ideas, but also the ability to adjust to market trends, consumer behavior, and competition. Tesla, under Musk's leadership, has made similar adjustments. While the company's mission has always been to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy, its strategies have shifted over time. From initially focusing on luxury electric cars to now producing more affordable models, Tesla has evolved to meet the demands of a changing market. There is a misconception that compromise is a betrayal of principles. In reality, it is often the only way to achieve long-term success. Those who refuse to work with others, to acknowledge different perspectives, or to adjust their approach when necessary often find themselves stuck. The business world is full of companies that failed because they were unwilling to change. Blockbuster ignored the shift to digital streaming, believing that its existing model was strong enough. Kodak refused to embrace digital photography despite having the technology to lead the market. Both companies had opportunities to adapt but chose to stay rigid in their beliefs, and as a result they became irrelevant. The ability to balance strong principles with strategic adaptability is a skill that few master. Leaders who succeed are those who know when to stand firm and when to adjust. Musk has been criticized for working with governments, taking subsidies, and engaging with political figures who may not align with his personal beliefs. Yet these decisions have allowed him to push forward his larger vision. By securing government contracts for SpaceX, he has funded ambitious space exploration projects that would have been impossible through private investment alone. By engaging with regulatory bodies, he has ensured that Tesla remains at the forefront of the electric vehicle revolution. Adaptability does not mean abandoning values, it means finding the best way to implement them. Musk's goal has always been to make life multiplanetary, to transition the world to sustainable energy, and to develop artificial intelligence responsibly. His methods, however, have changed based on circumstances. Sometimes that has meant forming partnerships, other times it has meant going against industry norms, and in certain cases it has required working within systems that he may personally disagree with. The key is that he never loses sight of the end goal, even when his approach evolves. The most effective leaders understand that the world is constantly shifting. Economic conditions change, governments change, consumer behavior changes, and industries evolve. Those who refuse to adjust will always be overtaken by those who do. History rewards those who are flexible, who can recognize when a new strategy is needed, and who have the wisdom to make necessary adjustments while keeping their larger mission intact. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is not just intelligence or hard work. It is the ability to adapt without losing sight of what truly matters. Long-term thinking is what separates those who achieve lasting success from those who experience only temporary wins. Many people focus on short-term gains, seeking immediate rewards, quick profits, and instant validation. However, the most successful individuals and businesses understand that true success is not built overnight. It requires patience, vision, and the ability to make sacrifices today for greater rewards in the future. The ability to think beyond the present moment and plan for years or even decades ahead is what allows leaders to shape industries and build legacies. Elon Musk's approach to business and innovation is a clear example of long-term thinking in action. When he founded SpaceX, his goal was not just to build rockets, but to make humanity a multi-planetary species. This is not a vision that can be achieved in a few years or even a few decades. It requires a lifetime of effort, strategic planning, and continuous innovation. Yet despite the enormous challenges, Musk has remained committed to this goal, making decisions that may not always seem profitable in the short term, but serve a much bigger purpose in the long run. Tesla follows the same philosophy. When Musk took over the struggling electric car company, many doubted that it could ever compete with traditional automakers. The early years were filled with financial struggles, production delays, and skepticism from the industry. Most companies would have pivoted to a safer, more conventional business model. But Musk was not thinking about short-term survival. He was thinking about the long-term impact of accelerating the transition to sustainable energy. He was willing to risk financial losses, invest heavily in research and development, and take on challenges that many believed were impossible to overcome. Today, Tesla is not just a successful company. It has redefined the entire automotive industry. Long-term thinking requires resilience. There will always be setbacks, failures, and moments when progress seems slow. Those who lack patience often give up too soon, abandoning great ideas because they do not see immediate results. Many of the world's most successful entrepreneurs have faced periods of struggle before achieving their breakthroughs. Jeff Bezos started Amazon in his garage with a vision to create an online marketplace that would dominate retail. In the early years, the company operated at a loss, reinvesting every dollar into expansion, infrastructure, and innovation. Investors questioned his strategy, but Bezos remained focused on the long-term vision. Today, Amazon is one of the most powerful companies in the world because of decisions made decades ago. Great leaders do not measure success by quarterly earnings or short-term trends. They understand that true impact requires time. Steve Jobs spent years developing the iPhone, perfecting every detail, even when competitors were rushing to release new products. His long-term vision was not just to create a phone, but to revolutionize how people interact with technology. That patience and commitment to quality paid off as the iPhone became one of the most successful products in history. Short-term thinking often leads to missed opportunities. Many businesses fail because they prioritize immediate profits over long-term sustainability. Companies that focus solely on cost-cutting, short-term sales goals, or avoiding risk often find themselves struggling to adapt when market conditions change. Those that invest in innovation, build strong customer relationships, and plan for the future are the ones that endure. Risk taken plays a significant role in long-term success. Musk has repeatedly taken risks that others were unwilling to take, not because he was chasing quick success, but because he believed in the bigger picture. When he invested his own money into Tesla and SpaceX at a time when both companies were on the verge of collapse, it was not a reckless decision. It was a calculated bet on the future. He understood that the payoff would not come immediately, but if he stayed committed, the rewards would be enormous. Patience is a rare quality in a world that demands instant results. Many people want success but are not willing to endure the years of hard work, failure, and learning that it takes to get there. Those who truly understand long-term thinking embrace the process. They are willing to put in the effort, make difficult decisions, and stay focused even when the rewards are not immediate. The most successful individuals and companies are not the ones that chase trends, but the ones that set them, knowing that real success is built over time.